systems. So I implemented my property management system back in 2011. And honestly, I would tell anyone that's in real estate and getting into the business, the one thing I wish I would have done sooner was implement the system sooner. And sometimes you're at, even if they're at a larger brokerage and they're a newer agent, utilize the systems that are there. If they have the tools, put the time in to learn them and use them. I get so many agents that'll say, oh, okay, well, I'm not generating any business. Okay, well, are you using this? And they're at some pretty big brokerages. And I'm like, I know they have the tools. Are you using the tools that they're giving you? And if you're not using the tools, then that's why you're not generating the business. So, and you got to get focused, right? So I implemented the system in 2011. Then I've just constantly added as needed. So sometimes I always like to say at Sovereign, we are high tech, high touch. We always have the best and latest software to meet our clients' and customers' needs.
You're listening to the Real Estate Proverbs Podcast with host Kevin Jefferson. This is the #1 podcast for African American real estate professionals who are doing extraordinary things. It's time to tune in. And now, your host, the People's Lender, Kevin Jefferson.
Welcome to the Real Estate Proverbs Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson, and today we have a very special guest, a young lady by the name of Karen Hatcher. How you doing today, Karen?
Good. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate you hopping on. Karen, tell us a little bit about who you are.
All right, Karen Hatcher. What I do now, who I am. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3. I've got an 8-year-old. I have 2 4-year-old twins. I'm a real estate investment expert that I love. But how I got into that is I came to Atlanta by way of New York, upstate New York, Rochester, so up near the Great Lakes, Lake Ontario, and came here to attend Clark Atlanta University in 1998, and I graduated in 2002 with my degree in finance, and then went on to work in corporate, and also went and got my MBA in real estate in 2011 from Georgia State University, and yeah, it's been off to the races ever since. But that's a little bit about me. I live in town. I absolutely love Atlanta. I love this city. I got addicted, right? I mean, who doesn't get addicted to Atlanta? I came out here for college and I was like, oh my gosh, I just love it here. So
Wow.
All the people that look like me here that are achieving wonderful things. I also quickly realized that Atlanta was a developing market, and there was so much opportunity here for growth. Right, with the major factors like the airport, you can get to anywhere in the world, right? Direct flight almost from the city, which is huge for economic development. You have all these colleges here. We've got them. And I was going to mark that when you look at other major cities, right, where the barriers to entry to success can be a lot higher, and because it was like on this way up, it was on this way up back then, and I was like, oh gosh, this is where I need to be. So that's what brought me here, and that's why I'm here and what I just did. But I am the broker owner of Sovereign Realty Management. So a little bit about what I do now. I'm the broker owner of Sovereign Realty Management. I got licensed in real estate in 2007, and I worked for another firm for about 7 years. Then I switched to one more firm for 1 more year, and started my own brokerage in 2015. I actually started the company in 2008, and started my own brokerage in 2015, and I've just been rolling ever since. We recently just moved our offices. We actually were able to buy a commercial property, a distressed asset at the end of last summer, and just renovated that and just moved in like 2 weeks ago. So still unpacking boxes and getting furniture, but our office is located right on Moreland Avenue in between Reynoldstown and Edgewood. So I love in town. I feel like that's where the most growth is. We've got all of the craft restaurants and the Beltline and all that good stuff. So I used to live on the west side, and then I moved to the east side in 2003. And I have been over here ever since. So excited about our new office over here, and can't wait to, have you by one day soon to come talk to me and my team.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it. So, you just kind of like everybody else in terms of when we come here, it's like, man,
right?
What would it be like to live here?
Unbelievable.
It is an unbelievable place to be at. it's an unbelievable place to be at, an unbelievable time right now.
For sure.
For sure.
The development
So
is incredible.
it is.
Demand for housing. We don't even have enough housing for people that want to live.
Right.
So it's incredible.
It is.
I know your business is booming.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, it's you have to have that work life. You have to have a balance, or you'll get stressed out, no sleep, and you'll miss out on things that you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So man, I moved here from Delaware. It'd be 6 years ago, 6 years in October. And when I came, my sons were 4 and 10 months.
Ooh.
Now they're 10 and 6.
Wow.
And it went by so fast. So as much as I understand that this is a fast-paced environment right now in business, I've created boundaries to where I have time with my kids, because it's going to be a time when they don't want to hang with me.
100%. They don't. I couldn't agree with you more.
They don't want to be with me. And if someone can't understand that in terms of, there's a shut off time, then that deal wasn't for me. Before, I didn't have that mentality. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna lose the deal. But then I started seeing my kids grow. They was missing sports. They was missing this, missing that. And I'll never forget. I was working at a company, and it was my son's field day, kindergarten, my oldest son, you know what I mean? So, of course, I want to be there. And the processor said, I gave everybody a heads up, turned everything in, had my clients like, hey, I'm going to be gone from this time to this time. And the processor says, sometimes you just have to miss things. And I said, cool. I said, but I won't be missing this.
I know, so that's right.
Anything that is that urgent, then I've got my cell phone. But for me to sit behind a desk and miss out on his first field day and that opportunity, I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do it. And it's crazy because I needed to be there. And I'm going to tell you why. I was struggling in the business, and I was at a crossroads. I was my first year, I was struggling, and I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if I can continue to do this, because I didn't have any formal training, so that was one thing. My son's class, they were in tug of war in the finals, and they were losing. They were losing in the
field days.
Yes.
Tug of war is like the best.
The best. So they were losing, and something kicked in those kids. Karen, I kid you not, I think they were maybe 3 inches away from that little thing going to the other side. And then they just start pulling, and their class was much smaller than the other class. And they kept pulling, and I saw the other team give up. I saw it when they said, oh, shoot, they have us. And I could see the other team just be like, well, we had them right there. We couldn't get it. And that was it. Right. And my son team won. And what that did for me was, it's never over till it's over.
It's never over till it's over.
Never over till it's over. And, that just gave me the boost I needed. I went back in that day and rearranged things. Like, okay, this is what you need to do, Kevin. This is who you need to reach out to. This is where things need to go. Okay, what don't you know? Put down what I didn't know. Okay, what do you know? I know that I have the ability to build relationships with people. That comes easy to me. The other stuff I can learn. And as I did it and I saw changes that I needed to make, every year my business continued to grow. But had I missed that field day, I might not have been in the mortgage industry.
See, look at that.
Yeah,
Setting boundaries is key. Really understanding why we do this. At the end of the day, we do this. We're entrepreneurs because we want to be able to create our own schedule, because we want to be there for our family, because we want to control our time, right? And so it's funny, it's like when you start out being an entrepreneur, you start doing everything. You're working 13 hours a day, taking any and every client that comes your way. And then at some point, something clicks for you and you're like, wait a second. Like for you, it's that moment with that field day moment. It's like, for me, I was just like, wait a second, I can work and I can control my time. So like every day on my schedule, I block off the time when I have to pick up my kids. My husband and I trade days and time. So the days when I have to pick up my kids, I block off an hour and a half. So that I make sure there's nothing scheduled during that time period. So I can be fully engaged in the conversation with them on the phone. And then I block off like 5 to 8 for dinner, right? Dinner time, homework time, downtime, putting them to bed. And then it's like, if I want to get back to work after 8, then great. Unless it's an emergency where I know it's like something, I got a hot client, I've got due diligence periods that are ending or something that's crazy. And even on my contracts, I make sure that the due diligence time is set around my time with my kids. Because as realtors, we have an ability to write in a due diligence time. It's an hour and a day. So the day that you choose in the hour. And so I do this when I teach new agent ethics, and I tell them about these tricks that I've done for myself over the years, because coaching entrepreneurs and coaching business leaders up, and especially realtors, and if they're in the business and writing contracts, you can put contract deadlines within that work for your schedule. If you're not available around 5 because you got to pick your kids up, then why on earth would you put 5 o'clock? On the due diligence time of a contract? Because then you got to be on your phone, and you're not paying attention to your family. Instead, make the due diligence timeline like 9 o'clock. So okay, great. After I put my kids to bed, I got an hour to check to see if there's anything that came through that I need to address. And then of course, if you can try to work that way ahead of the due diligence timeline, work those negotiations out, then you free your schedule up. That's when you start to become more experienced and you really start to love what you do, because it's not impeding on the things on your quality of life. You want to love what you do, but you don't want it to take over your life. And so even working on weekends, Sundays for me is like family day, right? We try to do stuff as a family, whether it's going for a hike, whatever it is. We like to cook breakfast together as a family, whether we're making waffles, pancakes. My 8-year-old, she loves to cook. Seriously, I have her sign up for a chef camp. In 2 weeks, I got to drive all the way to Sandy Springs to take her to chef camp every day, but she loves to cook. And so, as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure you're finding these, finding time, controlling and scheduling things around your schedule so you can really, really be there for your family. I absolutely love Google Calendar. I use Google Business Suite. I get asked a lot of times, so people are like, how on earth do you do everything that you do and all your volunteer work, right? How do you run a company, be successful, and do all this volunteer work? Because I'm also the president-elect for the Atlanta Realtors Association, the 2021 president-elect. I will be the first Black woman president for the association, and I will be the second Black person. And this is in 111 years and in Atlanta, and we have over 12,500 members. And so I get asked a lot, and I'm a member of other associations as well, and sit on other boards, but I get asked, like, how do you manage and balance being an entrepreneur, being there for your family, being a wife, right, too, spending time with my husband, and all this volunteer work. And for me, it's using tech. Calendly.com, scheduling software, Follow Up Boss for my CRM, client relationship management tool, and Google Business Suite and Calendar, using all those together. And of course, I have a VoIP phone system, so I can get, when I'm away from my desk, my calls forward to my cell phone, they forward to myself and my assistant. So having those tools in place has allowed me to really hone in on, okay, income producing clients or clients that I already have, and how can I follow up with them faster so they go to the top, the top of my to-do list, right? Because they're in my CRM. All my existing clients and new clients get put in there immediately. So I know that I need to attend to them immediately and try to get to them as quickly as possible. But even on my Google Calendar, each one of my kids has a color code. So, because I swear, I look at each one of my kids like their own business. My husband, I gave him access to the calendar. So if I go in when I get the school schedule, I put it in the whole entire school schedule in the calendar for the whole year. All the days that they have off, all the half days, all that stuff. Then for each kid, because they go to different schools, they do 2 different schools. The twins are in the same, but the 8-year-old is different. So now they'll be the same this coming year. Twins are going to pre-K, so pre-K is free K. No more playing for preschool, so that's super exciting. Can't wait for that. But color-coded calendars for each kid. This also helps with after-school activity. And I just, my husband has access to it. So he can also see when he's scheduling meetings, right? Like when there's something that he's supposed to do, our pickup days are on there. I've got a color code for my personal calendar and a color code for my business calendar. So it just helps me organize more effectively. And I'm still refining it. I refine it every day. And then with time management, to make time for, family and things that truly matter the most, right? Why we do it. I noticed that initially when I started using Calendly and making appointments, I would give my clients automatic 30-minute increments on my calendar. And then I realized like these conversations never take 30 minutes. So if I have 4 meetings a day with new potential clients and anywhere from 2 to 4, and they were really only taking 15 minutes, right? And I sent the initial information I needed to send them about the overview of my company. So they kind of already know my background going into the meeting. I reduced those down to 15 minutes. And it has been working so great. It's crazy. It has, and so I actually got hours back into my day from that. So instead of spending, because I'm busy, I'm super busy. And so instead of spending so much time going over my background and all of that, I gave it to them up front in initial emails. So I didn't have to go, they went through a little bit, they're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with their background. They also know they only have 15 minutes. So then it's like, okay, great. Tell me about your situation. You have a property you just bought. You need a tenant. It needs a little bit of work done. They just tell me the current situation. Then I take a bunch of notes, and then it's just like, okay, great. When can I see the property? We schedule our follow-up meeting right there on the call. And I try to end them right at the 15 minutes. And I cannot tell you how much that has improved my productivity. And just shortening it to 15, we didn't need 30 minutes. And I was like, wow, I can take more appointments, I can get more done, and I can touch more people. And so that really has been super effective for me. It's a work in progress. I listen to Clubhouse a lot. I listen to other agents and other people in the field and just get new tips and tricks, and share tips and tricks that I'm also using. But that's been one that I implemented in my business just pretty recently, maybe like 2 months ago, that I have really, really seen a huge increase in my productivity, which has allowed me to spend more time with my family. So, and also, make time for more clients and focus on that 20% of my business that creates more income, right? Which then gives me more time with my family. So.
Right. Do I only have 15 minutes?
No. I blocked out an hour for you, Kevin, of course.
All right, cool. I appreciate it. I guess so. Well, we're done. So I find it amazing that you are able to do everything that you do, right? And you kind of went into something I was thinking about in my head is your system, because understanding that, being an instructor, being a broker, owner, still actively doing real estate, being on a real estate board, a wife, mother, there has to be some system in place in order to balance all of that, and to have some sanity, right? At what point did you say, Karen, I need to put a system in place or I'm not going to be able to sustain this?
So I started implementing systems I first started my property management software back in 2011. And I had already been doing property management since before 2007, actually. But professionally since 2007, right after I got licensed, I went right into managing my friends' properties. But before that, I was managing my then boyfriend, now husband's stuff. He's the one who actually got me into real estate. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he was fixing and flipping and buying and holding. And so he saw how successful I was in corporate and was just like, you need to get into real estate. And I was like, he's like, you already got a finance background and you work like a crazy person. I used to go in on my off days. Honestly, I'm a workaholic. I love when I get into something that I love to do. I love to be successful. I love to produce. And so, and add value. And so he was like, you need to get into real estate because you wouldn't have, you would really make it. You would be really successful. You need to be an entrepreneur. And so I finally took the leap after he coerced me for years. So I finally took the leap and I'm so glad he did. But we were talking about systems. So I implemented my property management system back in 2011. And honestly, I would tell anyone that's in real estate and getting into the business, the one thing I wish I would have done sooner was implement the system sooner. And sometimes you're at, even if they're at a larger brokerage and they're a newer agent, utilize the systems that are there. If they have the tools, put the time in to learn them and use them. I get so many agents that'll say, oh, okay, well, I'm not generating any business. Okay, well, are you using this? And they're at some pretty big brokerages. And I'm like, I know they have the tools. Are you using the tools that they're giving you? And if you're not using the tools, then that's why you're not generating the business. So, and you got to get focused, right? So I implemented the system in 2011. Then I've just constantly added as needed. So sometimes I always like to say at Sovereign, we are high tech, high touch. We always have the best and latest software to meet our clients' and customers' needs. And customers meaning tenants, clients meaning buyers and owners. And so those are our clients, the tenants are our customers. And we try to implement the latest software to make sure that the client experience is excellent and the customer experience is excellent. We understand our clients are mainly investors. They need a high level of detail and transparency. Being an investor myself, I know that. So having the proper systems in place allow us to do that. And so then it's not only the systems, but then you have to have the process with the people to back up the systems, right? And so it's a living, breathing thing. At Sovereign, my team and I, we are a multi-generational office. So and that is by design. I have baby boomers all the way to millennials, and we keep it mixed because so therefore we can meet the needs of all of our clients. Our investors and client base ranges so much from 20-year-olds to 70-year-olds that have real estate portfolios to 80-year-olds that have real estate portfolios where that is that's their income. That's how they live with Social Security, right? That their 401k or IRA and Social Security. So they are dependent on the income from their real estate investments to actually live. So in order to meet their needs, we have the systems, the software systems that are put in place, but then we have to back it up with our process, company systems. And that's the people part, right? Because technology software only works if the people have the right process to actually implement it and do it every day diligently. And that is always something that we always have to, get focused on, right? Because we can go down a rabbit hole with a fire that happens at a property at one point, and that can take you off base. And so that's why we have team meetings. That's why we get together to kind of brainstorm. That's why we have to have, one-on-one meetings with one or two members of our staff all the time. And people have to collaborate because it's constantly changing. And even the softwares that we have, I often find that in our industry, there's always new software coming out, right? They call it prop tech, right? Property tech. And so there's always new software coming out and everybody wants to jump to the new thing. And when it comes to software, I just feel like every single software system is going to have its bugs. Everyone, whether you're starting out, it's brand new, they got to work through a process too. They're going to find bugs as people start putting more and more data into the system. It'll start generating, and there's always going to be bugs and updates and so forth that you're going to have to work through. However, I made it a point to stay with the software company that I had, I use PropertyWare, which is one of the leading software systems owned by RealPage, which also does, multifamily. So the software can do a lot, right? And then coupled with using like a CRM tool to manage your clients and leads. And then you add on a scheduling software, and then you add on a scheduling software for the tenants. And it allows you to use all pieces of the software, because a lot of people have software in place, but they're not using all of it. They maybe are only using 50% of what the software's capabilities truly are. And so having a multi-generational office, our millennials are super, super tech savvy, right? So he's always coming to me and saying, hey, Karen, I saw this, hey, the software offers this now, let's make this adjustment. Let's do this. Or, hey, I listened to this webinar, let's add this. Then I have a detail person, our operations manager that just started, right? He just started in June. And he is super detail oriented because this year I added an ops manager because I needed to focus on growing the business. We're looking to scale even larger this year. So I needed to add someone who is super detail oriented like myself. So that to come in and work the process, because I'm an integral part of the process, right? So I have to get someone that's going to be super detailed like and even better than me, right? Because he's coming from an engineering background where he now can come in and look at our processes and refine them even more. And so that's what he's focused on currently. Then I have our office manager who is all about customer service. She is all about service, and she's a baby boomer, and she knows, who who's dating who and who's pregnant and whose birthday and who broke up. And I mean, her brain with that stuff that's just how her brain works. She really, really loves it. And so she can remember anything about everybody. And so people really love that. And so I think having a multi-generational office, that is key. People that are, that have strengths in things that I don't have strengths in, are key in making sure that our processes really get used to their maximum capability and we are working as efficiently as possible. So, but yes, I'm constantly implementing new software, not a lot, but I'm very careful about it. Calendly, I've been using for probably 2 years now, 2 to 3 years, probably 3 years, 2 to 3 years now. But even once I started using it, like I said, I start to refine it. And then I realized that I needed more different types of appointments. So not just the 30-minute phone calls, but then international clients wanted Zoom calls. And of course, COVID hit. So I was like, okay, well, let me just let them book. They can make a choice. Do they want to talk to me over the phone or do they want to Zoom? So I let them choose. And then I needed one-on-one in-office meetings if people want to meet with me at my office. I added that block. So I have various different blocks, investor appointment setting, initial property visit setting, that sort of thing. So I have different calendar blocks that are different times that people can book for. And then within Calendly, you're able to choose what days you want and time periods you want to make yourself available for those appointments. So under each block, if somebody wants a 10-minute or a 15-minute call with me, I allow them to book those like same day. They can book that same day. They don't have to wait 24 hours. If it's like a property visit, they're going to need to book that 24 hours ahead of time, right? So there's like a 24-hour lead time on that. And so then I'm only doing property visits on certain days. So you can really start to refine the process more and more to fit what works for you and for your business. So I found that to be excellent. And then I hire coaches. I got a coach now who's a broker coach, Lee Atkins. I've been using him to help me with my software, my CRM implementation, with my CRM implementation, with my Property Aware, with my Calendly, with my website. He's been integrating it all for me. And so we meet once a week via Zoom, and we go through processes and we just refine it. He asks me questions. I tell him about my pain points, and we work through what's going to be best, and then and then we'll come up with a software solution where either it takes less time for me because I can either add something on my website, and then that allows them to schedule an appointment with me, or we make some sort of tech change, or it's an automatic email reply with my calendar booking, things like that. Any little thing to kind of refine my process and make me more efficient with the software tools that are already existing. That's what I work on with him. So I can't tell you how much a coach has helped me. And he's like he's an operations coach, right? He's all about software implementation and business practices coach. It has saved me so much time versus me having to go to the internet and try to figure it out and make mistakes and then put it on my website. Like he's like, okay, great. This is the pain point. Write the email response right now. Type it in. I'll type the email response in. Then he shows me how to do it so I can do the next one. But it's like we work through it. And that's where I think the key to successful entrepreneurship is because it's in constantly refining the process, right? You constantly got to make these adjustments on how you can manage your time because growth means more clients and clients mean more time. So exactly. You either have to hire people and staff or you have to leverage the technology to get more time back. And so I try to do both.
Wow. So how many units do you manage?
We manage several hundred units within the Metro Atlanta market. I don't give specifics because when you were comparing apples to apples, you'll get some people that'll say, I have 5,000 units. But if their 5,000 units are in the middle of, middle Georgia and the rent's only $400 a month, one of my doors could be 4 of their doors.
Right.
So it's not commensurate, right? So it's not apples to apples.
Right.
So we manage several hundred doors, mainly in the in-town market, but we do manage in 13 counties. Our investors purchase all over, but the majority of it is within the metro area because that is where the highest opportunity for appreciation is. And Atlanta tends to give you a little bit of cash flow and a lot of appreciation. So that's what we tend to give our customers in terms of advice on where to acquire properties and find investments for them.
So do you just manage properties or do you sell as well?
We do sell. So, the bulk of the revenue is going to come from sales because sales has higher commission levels. However, the bulk of our volume operations is property management. Property management is the core engine of our business. That is where we specialize in, and you can either make it or break it on a real estate investment, and it all is by the property management. If you have an excellent property manager, you're going to be a successful investor. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that you love being an investor and that you buy more properties. So sometimes we get investors that come to us with they want to invest in property. It always starts with the owner's goals. So we do everything from acquisitions to dispositions. So we help investors find properties. So that's the acquisition, that's the initial sales transaction. Then if a property needs renovation, we will handle the renovation. We'll handle that and schedule that, project manage the renovation portion. And that also is coupled with walking the property, making recommendations on what construction work needs to be performed for rental grade, right? So we're not going to renovate the property for retail if it's not a flip. So we're going to renovate the property for rent and what's going to achieve the highest rent value. So it's going to be a value-driven renovation recommendation to give you the highest rent amount for the least amount of construction cost. Then we'll handle the lease up. Then we'll do the overall management. Now, if we're doing the acquisition, we're also going to do a financial analysis for you. So I also have my CPM designation outside of, my bachelor's and my MBA. I have my CPM designation, which is the Certified Property Management designation, which is recognized internationally. And you most often see that designation for apartment portfolio managers. I apply those same level of expertise and analysis to single family and boutique multifamily property investment owners. So they're getting a high level of expertise and knowledge when it comes to management and oversight and analysis of their investments. So I will, based on the owner's goals, most of our owners have anywhere from a 3 to 5 year holding period. So I will do a financial analysis that's typically over a 5-year holding period. I even factor in their loan, their interest rates. So before that happens, I would need to have all of the financial information as far as what their mortgage is, which I can get from you, what their interest rate is, how much down payment they're putting in, and the projected construction costs. So based on that 5-year hold analysis, they either make the acquisition or not. Then we'll handle the sales transaction, management of the project, the lease up, managing through the holding period. And then we also monitor the market to see if and when they're ready to sell. Because if the market calls for sales, then it's time to sell. Then, hey, it's time to trade, right? It's time to trade into another asset. Some of my clients want to hold for the next 10 years, 10, 15 years, because this is their long-term investment hold and how they're going to retire. So they really don't want to sell. They really just want to hold. And we, however, still monitor the market just so they understand what their levels look like in terms of values for their properties. And then sometimes they can pull money out on those properties and buy another property, depending on how the market has performed. So just trying to help owners meet their goals. And but like I said, the core of the business is property management. And that's where my team spends the most of their time on. But yes, analysis and sales transactions, of course.
Wow. So in terms of, you say you help the client purchase the property, you go through an analysis with them. And when you go through the analysis, you say you get the numbers from the lender, and then of course what the market rents are. Do you refer them, like let's say they're a newbie, do you refer them to a construction company, or do you stay out of that?
Yeah, so there's a Sovereign Construction and Development. My husband owns a general contracting company, and he does commercial now, right? So he's a commercial contractor. He's doing airport work. He did the Auburn Research Library. He's got several churches going on, Starbucks, you name it. He does commercial. I think he just finished up a bookstore over there on the west side for this new construction building. But we will make a recommendation. We'll always give them an estimate from our construction team. And it's a separate company, but it is still Sovereign branded. And if I'm lucky enough to get them, because he has such a high level of construction expertise, his team actually is employed by him, and some are tenant subcontractors. So I'm able to get an estimate from them. And it's all in, right? So if they do get an estimate from them, that's going to include project management and the warranty. We don't bait and switch with our clients. So if a client gets estimates from us, it's going to be front loaded. It's going to have everything in there. And so that's the benefit. And over the years, most of our clients have realized that they would rather go with a construction team that knows what needs to get done, the quality of work is going to be there, and that they're not going to get a change order in the middle of the process, or the contractor's not going to run off with the money, right? So if it's a contractor that we are not familiar with and the owner decides to hire their own construction person to do the work, that's fine too. But if they want us to manage that renovation, then we'll charge them a project management fee, because it's going to require multiple visits to the property. You know how construction people are, so they have to be inspected and checked. And if they're not familiar with the standard of quality that we're looking for, I need every threshold nailed down, that kind of thing. So, it's going to require a lot of checks. I mean, even down to the cleaners, right? If the cleaners aren't opening the cabinet drawers and cleaning the inside of the cabinets out in every drawer, that's a level of clean. That's not the Craigslist or, the Groupon level clean. We need move in, move out cleaning. There's levels to it. And I have to, always explain to owners the difference. And they're like, oh, well, I found, a coupon online. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to give you move in, move out cleaning. They're going to come in and mop the floors, wipe the counters down. But for somebody to move in and you want a quality tenant, when they open that kitchen drawer, it better be clean. When they look underneath that bathroom cabinet, it better be clean, right? The windowsills better be clean. The fan better be clean, right? Every bulb in there better be changed. That's the level of quality that's what good tenants require, right? If you want a tenant that's going to love living there and take care of your house and pay on time, when they move in, it better be ready for them. And so that's what we really try to focus on. It's the best value for the money. Wow. And so outside of just property management, we also do, because we specialize in income producing real estate assets. So sometimes we are doing fix and flip, and sometimes we're doing new construction development. So if that's what the property calls for and that's what the market is calling for, then we will do new construction for sale. We do a lot of affordable housing. We work with one of the largest and leading affordable housing developers in the city of Atlanta as a development partner to produce affordable housing rental units and affordable housing units for sale.
Wow. So I know you said that your husband got you into the real estate aspect of it. How was the transition from corporate America to the real estate industry?
Yes. So transitioning from corporate to real estate. I would say, regardless of whether anytime you're transferred from corporate to entrepreneurship, period, you go through like the mental headspace, right? Of, oh my goodness, like, okay, like you only eat what you kill. So I got to get out here and I got to kill, right? I got to close deals. And so it took me a while to quit my job. I started part-time, I got licensed in 2007, but I didn't quit until 2011. I was going back to get my MBA. 2010 and 2011, I was in a two-year MBA program, professional MBA program at Georgia State, where I had a cohort. We went all year round, even through the summer, to finish in 2 years. And so it wasn't my second to last semester was when I decided to quit and to quit corporate. But you go through a transition in your brain of not getting a paycheck to you eat what you kill. And it's scary. It was scary, even though, I have a partner, and I had a partner at the time. He was like, let's do this. We made a decision together, and it was like, we were married at the time. We got married in 2007. So we were married, but we didn't have any kids yet. And he was like, let's do it. Like, I got your back. I got this. We'll do it together. And I was like, all right, cool. So we did it. And what I realized was that I was already working 50 to 60 hours a week in corporate, because that's just how I work. That's my work ethic. Now I started so instead of working real estate 20 hours, I'm now working real estate 40, 50 hours. And I started producing really quickly. I started really, just honing in on what I really wanted to do. I, at one point, initially said, oh, maybe I'll try to do just regular retails, working with buyers and sellers, and just, the regular buyers and sellers. And on the listing side, absolutely, I'm excellent, because my brain is very process oriented. I'm a very process efficient, marketing plans lined up. We do photos, we do this, we do video, we get it, you blitz the market with the listing. It's very process on the listing side, right? It's about volume and process. On the buy side, it's about people. And I am not the greatest people person. So I'm more numbers, right? And so I was like, this isn't for me. I need to specialize strictly with investments, because investors, it's all about the numbers, which is perfect for me. Right. And so I always try to tell agents, like, you've got to know you've got to try to figure out your niche. They come in and they're working with everything. They want to do luxury. They want to do first-time homebuyers. They want to do vacation property. They want to do rentals. And it's like, well, what are you good at? What's your personality? Your business and what you choose to do should be your personality. And so even development, fix and flip, that's all numbers. Development is all numbers. It's all like, you get your team, you got your vendors, you got your plan, you got your financial analysis. So that for me was my sweet spot. And that I started focusing on that ever since. I focus on being the trusted referral partner for a lot of other realtors and top realtors in Metro Atlanta. So I am their property management referral partner. And so even though I'm a realtor as well, just like them, and they do know that I buy and sell, they know that I'm going to give them their clients back. So they may sell the investment property, but they're going to say, hey, I need you, before they close, they're like, hey, hey, Karen, I've got my client here. They're getting ready to close on a property, and we need you to do the property management. And so they do an introduction. I manage their property. Whenever that client's ready to sell, I give them their client back. And so it's a win-win for everybody. They know their client's going to get amazing service, property management at a high level, and then they got a future listing. So they can't beat it. So you just really got to know your personality. You got to know your personality, because that transition from corporate into real estate, you can be all over the place. I mean, there's so many different kinds of real estate to do, right? You could do commercial, you can do industrial, you can do office, you just don't know. And so I really just try to tell new agents, especially when I teach new agent ethics, is what is your personality and what do you really want to do? So if you're not excellent at processes and skills and numbers, and you want to work with investors, then you need to do that. You need to learn that, start taking some classes, learn those calculations, get those designations, because investors want a high level of service in detail. So when our clients range from first-time investors to institutional investors, and they all have different needs, but that one thing they all want is detail and transparency. They want to be able to see everything, and they want their documents when they want it. So we publish everything on the owner portal. They expect you to maintain the property as well as maintain the income from the tenant rents, maintaining the vacancy, the return that they want. But, like I said, you got to make sure the property itself is also being maintained. So you've got to make recommendations as to preventative maintenance that needs to happen. So your team has to be trained to be able to notice those things and find those things, and keeping, open relationships with tenants. They just expect, the expectation levels are there. But yeah, the transition is from corporate into real estate it's tough as going into any entrepreneurship business and just completely saying, I'm not going to, work for a paycheck.
Right. So why do you think more agents don't focus on a niche, a specific segment of real estate?
It's a good question. I think they're enticed by everything. I think TV has a big role to play in it. Clients and agents themselves. Seriously, all the real estate shows out now, right? You have agents come in thinking they're going to get like microwave success, and same thing with investors, right? Or they want to start flipping property immediately and they've never flipped anything. They have never even painted a room, but they want to flip a house. It's like, okay, let's do this. But, getting into it without education. But I tend to find that new realtors they get into the business and then they start to take a look at their sphere. And then you want to take any and everything coming, right? And then within their sphere, how many of their friends or sphere are realtors? And so they get nervous and they get scared to compete. And it's really about just them putting themselves out there, but then being honest with themselves. Because I'll meet a lot of realtors that maybe have been in the business for 6 months and then they're like, oh, I think I'm gonna go back and get a job. Or I'm not closing anything. And then they want to switch to another broker with lesser fees. Or they've just been doing nothing but going to classes and they're not out there asking for business. They've got to try things. You've got to get out. You've got to try Try door knocking, try sending mailers, try calling expires. Just try and figure out what's good for you. Social media may not be good for you. Social media could be great for you. You have to figure out they have to figure out what their personality is and then leverage that and then give it 200%, 100%. But no, seriously, they really need to give a lot of times they're not taking it seriously. And so they expect it to be microwave like TV. But then I start getting into the questions like, are you touching your sphere? No. Okay. You're not touching your sphere. Okay. When's the last time you emailed them? I haven't. Or I have maybe about a month ago. Okay. Well, you're not emailing your sphere. You're not touching your sphere. So what is it you want to do? Why did you even become a real estate agent to begin with? Oh, well, I wanted to help first-time home buyers. I wanted to get people into homes. Okay. If you want to get people into homes and help first-time home buyers, then why don't you hold a first-time home buyer seminar? That's a good idea. So things like that. It's like sometimes you got to coach people along, personalities. And depending on where I am in my life, sometimes I feel like coaching more than others. But no, right? No, but at Sovereign, we don't take new agents. So we like to take agents that are at least experienced in some aspect, whether it's 6 months to a year, something, because they need to have some experience closing transactions. Our clients require a high level of service. So if they're not familiar with how to communicate or how often you should communicate, then if I got to motivate you to get up in the morning just to sell real estate, then you're in the wrong business. So that's the first thing, right? If it's a struggle for you to get up every morning and work your real estate business, is this really what you want to do? Or are you just doing it because it's sexy and everybody's doing it and you see the people on TV and you're like, ooh, I want to do that, or on Instagram and you're like, I want to live that life. But you can live that life doing what you want to do. You just got to find, is that really, really what you want to do? So luxury is hard to break into. A lot of agents come in and they want to sell luxury, right? But they don't have any friends that make any money, luxury money.
Right.
So you want to sell luxury real estate, which means you've got to get luxury buyers in your circle or a luxury net worth network. How do you get a luxury net worth network? You need to get on the phone and start getting with these luxury agents and say, hey, can I hold your open house? Can I hold your open house open? Can I do this for you? Can I do that for you? You've got to network with your peers. So not only your potential clients, but network with your peers. I can't say enough about being an active member of the Realtors Association over the years. The amount of information that I have, it gives back to me more than I give to it. My husband would say I spend way too much time volunteering, but it has given me so much more than I've given to it. And I give a lot of time to it, but the value that I find in the network that I have there and who I can call when there's information that I need, even as a broker owner, even as a managing broker, I can call when I have an issue. There's connections that I've made there that I'm like, hey, can you help me with this? Here's the situation. I can pick up the phone and call them and I can get the information that I need. So for new agents and people that want to break into something like luxury, you need to go find some agents that specialize in that and find a way to volunteer your time to help them help you, right? Because it's a learning process. So a lot of times you're gonna have to volunteer your time to help them. Can I help you set up this open house? Can I help you do your marketing? I'll volunteer my time to do it. You're working for free anyway if you don't have any clients, right? So go in and say, let me set this up for you. Let me do this, let me do that. And that's how you learn. And then who knows, that agent may be expanding their team one day and they want to add you to their team. And next thing you know, you're on a luxury team.
Team.
Volunteering your time is important in terms of figuring out who you want to work with. If you want to work with first-time home buyers, you want to be very familiar with the loan programs that go with that and the loan products and the credit scores, and get out there and educate people on it. Talk to them about the loan products, know your stuff, partner with somebody like you and say, hey, Kevin, can you help me talk to my sphere or my neighborhood about loan programs and what new products are out there and what they need to have for to buy that first home? How much savings do they need? Do they need down payment assistance? What down payment assistance programs are out there? And that's something we're working right now on at the association is affordable housing and down payment assistance, and educating realtors on how to use those funds and those programs. So therefore, people like teachers and restaurant managers and bar managers, the people that we all love, don't have to use all of their savings to buy a house. Imagine if you were that realtor that knew all of those products and could help them get into a property with some down payment assistance that they didn't know they could qualify for, but they actually could, right? And then they were able to have a great lender like yourself that can help them layer these funds, and they're able to get into a house without using so much of their savings and getting assistance that they didn't know. Now you're the go-to realtor for that, right? Some agents want to do vacation property, lakefront property. Do you know about lakefront property? Go familiarize yourself with the realtor that specializes in second homes and turning second homes into investment income or Airbnbs, that sort of thing. If you're in investment property and you want to work in investments and fix and flips and developments, call me. Come, work with us at Sovereign. That's what we do. We're doing new construction. We're doing fix and flip. We're doing property management. If you want to work with investors, I'm the one you need to talk to. We specialize in that. So oftentimes you got to find the brokerage that fits what you want that niche to be. But get real with yourself about what you really, really want to do.
So 2 questions from what you just said, right? First one is, do you manage Airbnbs?
We do not manage Airbnbs, but I do have great referrals for that. And I'll tell you the reason why. Airbnb is it's the hospitality business.
Okay.
It's not just passive investing. It is very active. The turn on properties is a lot higher, and it requires a lot of management and oversight. I get a lot of requests for Airbnb. At this time, we do not manage Airbnb. I don't foresee that being a part of our business anytime this year or next. For us, my clients typically want long-term investment holds. They want long-term tenants that are going to have less wear and tear on their properties. They're not necessarily looking for just the cash flow from the Airbnb. They are looking for the long-term cash flow and the appreciation. And less wear and tear on the property. So that is where we like to specialize in. If we did Airbnb, our management fees would have to be so high. Because we try to do this on a high quality level. And I know some successful Airbnb owners and managers. And so we can definitely help our clients in that manner. And one of our team members also has his own Airbnb, but he manages it himself because it's a lot of work. I see him, sweating all the time. He's got to run home and get a hairdryer, but he takes a super host status. But it's a lot of work. It's hospitality versus, just long-term renter investing. We would more so our clients typically love a renter that'll stay there for 4 years. 4 to 5 years. And in some cases, we have some renters that have been in the properties for 10 years. And especially the seniors, when the senior finds a property that they love, they stay there and they don't want to move. So that is huge passive income for our clients without all that churn of new people coming in, new people coming out. Oh, this furniture broke down. We got to replace it, that sort of thing.
So for our listeners who don't know, what's passive income? Passive
income is income that you don't have to work for. So there's the tax. When I was just using it interchangeably with active, I'm looking at that from a management perspective. Passive income is mailbox money, right? You're not working for it. So from a tax perspective, passive income would be you have a property manager that is managing your real estate investment for you, and you're not actually physically working to make that income yourself. So it really is mailbox money. You sit back and you just get your rental income and your direct deposit, right? So it's not. They call it mailbox money, but it's really like direct deposit money now. But yeah, so when I say active, an active investment, of course, from a tax perspective is you're actually physically actively managing that property yourself. So you can't take advantage of passive, income depreciation, right? So, but when I was speaking about that interchangeably, I was saying like passive, you have a long-term tenant and they're there for on average 3 to 4 years. And especially now with rental rates increasing at such a high rate in the Metro Atlanta area, a lot of tenants are electing to stay where they are. If they can't afford to buy a house right now or can't find a house, they'd rather stay where they are than pay all those moving fees and all the higher rental rates. So they'd rather pay an increase versus having to go move someplace new. So we get a lot of tenants that have elected to renew the leases where they are, versus Airbnb, where it's like people are staying for a couple days. So it's constantly it's a lot of churn. It's a lot of churn. It's a lot riskier. So the return should be higher, right? Higher risk, higher reward. So you make more money on a monthly basis, but it is higher risk, right? Tenants could trash the place. They could, and Airbnb, from my understanding, has been excellent about their reimbursing owners for things like that if there's damage and so forth that comes. But from a management perspective, we would have to. It's hospitality, so it's all the sheets, the towels, the little things. What makes Airbnb so special is the little things, right? It's the little notes, it's the little tags, it's the little things that make things really, really special. So at this time, no, but maybe sometime soon. But that's what I mean by active and passive.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned getting with the right brokerage. What made you open up your own brokerage? Because that's a lot more work.
Yeah, honestly, the brokerage that I was at that time told me that they didn't want me doing it anymore. And come to find out, they bought another management company. So they didn't want the competition. So, yeah, so they apparently saw that it was profitable and went and bought another agent's management company. And then that didn't end up working for them over the years, but that's what happened. And so then I was like, you know what, let me just get my own brokerage. And the broker there was like, you should just start your own broker company, like get your own brokerage and just do your thing. Cause you're already like, you're great at it. You're already doing it and you got a team. So I was like, let me do that. So I did. And it's been great.
No, that's awesome.
And having your own brokerage is excellent. And I really love the fact that we're Black owned. I love that I'm the only owner. So it's woman owned and Black owned. I think that's really cool. That's also something that I wanted to bring to leadership at the Atlanta Realtors Association. The fact that, I know I'm the second Black president and the first Black female, but that puts me in knowing what the previous Black president did. He worked for a larger brokerage, so I will actually be the first, I believe, I'll be the first Black president with her own brokerage. And a Black owned brokerage in the history, 111 years. So that's exciting because I firmly believe that, and what I try to tell all agents is that you can, once you find your place in real estate that's right for you, you can have a great business and a great life. You really can. And stop trying to find out who you are. And follow people on Instagram that are similar to that are doing in different markets, that are doing what you want to do. And then try to implement some of those practices, because you will eventually do it your own way because you're your own person and your own personality. But you can get out here now, you can join these clubhouse rooms, you can see what people are doing on Instagram and figure out, like, you don't have to be that person because you're going to be yourself. But you can really have honestly, there's even part-time agents. I know some people that are part-time agents that have great businesses. They're great. And some of them are I would say they put in part-time hours, but they're stay-at-home moms, and they make enough income to stay a stay-at-home mom and still provide for their family. But they have a lot of time to take care of their family and be in all the kids' after school activities. Like, this is not a 40-hour, job for them, but they've got a part-time real estate business and they make, $40,000 to $80,000 a year doing it part-time, right? And so that, excuse me, you can do this business. This business looks so different for so many people. And a lot of times, especially newer agents and agents that have been in the business for a few years, they will start to get discouraged and want to jump ship instead of just doing those same skills, basic skills every day. Work your network, show up at those birthday parties, go to the cocktails, do the things that you love to do. I built a lot of my current network based off honestly, not only from other realtor referrals, but then I started when I had our first daughter, 2013, I started mommy meetups. Next thing you know, I'm managing their portfolio, literally.
Wow.
These are from just walks where I didn't go in saying I'm joining this group because I want to grow my real estate business. It was like, I'm joining this group because we all have kids the same age and we want to go walk the neighborhood at the same time. But then those relationships, then it turns out like, okay, what do you do? And We start doing, you know, we just start talking about that and we become friends. And it's like, you know what? I want you to manage my portfolio. And then they referred all their friends to me. And then it's like, the real estate business can be incredibly lucrative for anybody that wants to really take a look at what they love to do and make that your sphere. I want to spend time with my kids friends and families and their parents, and ended up being they're a huge portion. I'm friends with all these people now and I manage their portfolios. It's really cool. And I didn't expect it to be that way, but that's what it turns out to be. And honestly, that's for a lot of people. And then my parents' friends, right? Because they're like, oh, wait, we can take some of our retirement income and hey, we want to invest in some real estate, right? And so it starts to grow organically from that. And so I would just tell anybody that find what you love to do. Start letting that entire group of people, if it's your workout crew, if it's your golfing crew, whatever it is, find out what you love to do. Make sure they all know that this is what you do for a living. Make sure you're telling them about what's happening with the latest updates, the latest developments. They know that you know current information about what's happening in the real estate market. Then you become that go-to. Then they're calling you for everything. I get calls for my refrigerator broke down. Do you know anybody? And it's like, you know, from a neighbor. And I'm like, absolutely. I want you to call me for any and everything related to real estate. If you think about anything related to a house, you call me. You know, that's what I want. Because it's like, then I become the resource. And I refer out to a lot of other agents too. One of my clients had a lakefront property that he wanted to sell. I don't do lakefront property. I live in town, Atlanta. But I got an awesome network that I met through the Atlanta Realtors Association. I called up one of my friends that I know works lakefront and was like, hey, I got a lot. They don't want it anymore. They've had it for a couple of years. They thought they were going to build on it. Boom, you know, and then you refer it out. But you want to be the resource for all of your clients for everything related to real estate. So if agents can focus on that, focus on what you love, not what everybody else loves. And, you know, just do your thing. You can really get a nice business going. They'll have a wonderful life.
So what are the top two things you would recommend to a new agent looking to break into the business that they do?
Top new agent looking to break into the business. One, get active in your realtor association. The network and the information you're going to get, they're going to give you the touches to give to your sphere that aren't just the touches coming from your broker, right? You're going to get like, this development is happening and this legislation is out there. And, you know, those kinds of things where your network will really be like, wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for that information, right? Not just, oh, it's springtime, you need to clean your gutters. I'm talking about real local, you know, information to give to your sphere that really make you look like an expert. So I would say that. Two, work your systems. Work your systems every day. And don't get frustrated with, you know, the job never being done. As an entrepreneur, the job is never done. Every day, and I'm sure you do it too. Every day I say, God, there's so much work to do. Every day I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, there's so much more to do. But it's like, there's always much more to do because we're entrepreneurs. It's never done. And there's always more to do. And if your business is growing, there's always more to do. So it's like, that becomes the norm, and get comfortable with that. Get comfortable with the fact that the to-do list is ongoing. But you had better be checking off items on the to-do list too, right? But the to-do list is forever growing, and just keep working it every day. And eventually it will boom for you. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm doing this. And you're doing it. So that's it.
I mean, the to-do list creates more things to do. It creates more stuff to do. You talk to one client, it's like, oh man, I've got to get this from Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith, and I need to call the processor for this, and we got to reach out to the appraiser. They need me to talk to their CPA. Like, that's just the one call.
Just one call. And that was something I found from that was definitely a big difference from working corporate and working for myself, right? Because there'll be times when I would finish my list for the day and that's like done. And it's as a manager too. And I'll be like, okay, I have some other stuff to do, but they weren't it wasn't like never ending, right? I'll be like, okay, great. This is what I want to get done today. It's done. As an entrepreneur, it's like, it seemed like everything was, this should be done today. This could be done today. this needs to be done tomorrow. And it was way more than corporate. And even being in corporate management, it was way more than corporate. And so as an entrepreneur, I had to get comfortable with, like you said, the never ending, constantly growing to-do list. And then you got to prioritize that to-do list. And that took me a while to start doing. People can talk about 80-20 all day long and prioritizing to-do lists. And it took me a while, honestly, to really, really hone in on that. I would prioritize, but sometimes you prioritize the wrong things, or the fires come and I would let the fires take my attention away from what really mattered most. And because you could just let things, oh, this is burning over here, let me go work on that. And next thing you know, you didn't do any of this over here. It's like, no, that's not where I need to be. Where you want to do emails all day long, and emails is just somebody giving you a to-do list. Like, what about what's on your list? Right? So you need to be sending emails out. Emails are coming in typically as people giving you stuff to do. So I had to really, really work on that. Like, that was something, and I'm still working on the prioritizing. One of my friends, other entrepreneur friends, Tanya, she gave me a book earlier this year, the 12-week year. And so I have been using that, some portions of that as well, to help really hone in on my priorities and refine my processes to be more productive. But yeah, man, you can get those to-do lists, and it still is like, you got to try to get better and better and better and better and better all the time, because it never ends. It never ends.
Never ends. So do you read a lot of professional development books?
All the time, constantly. Between physically reading and Audible, to interchange the two, and listening to podcasts, listening to Clubhouse. That's the new Audible thing I'm listening to now. And so now I'm like, I'm listening to Clubhouse too much. I'm not utilizing my Audible. I just do the monthly Audible, right? So they're taking that out every month. Or was it the $14.99 or something every month? And before, I would use that all the time, because I would get through the books, listening through there. And then I also read books as well. But all these audio platforms and podcasts, right? On top of that, there's so many good podcasts. And then I found out about your podcast, and I was listening to it because you got a couple of my colleagues on there too that I listen to on YouTube.
Okay.
Kevin and Sabrina. And so I was listening to their podcast. Once I found out about your podcast, I was like, well, this is really dope. And so there's always stuff to feed your brain. I would love to feed my brain with books, it ranges, right? From honing your process books to inspirational books to how-to books. And every now and then I want to throw a fiction in when I get too overwhelmed. Maybe like once a year I'll throw like a fiction in. Once or twice a year I may throw a fiction book in. But yeah, avid reader and podcast.
Wow. So you're an educator, right?
Yes.
What is the first class you think that a newbie should take? Because what I see is they want to take everything under the sun, which seemingly is cool, but it's not going to help you sell more real estate. It'll keep you safe from getting in trouble once you get to that point, but it doesn't teach you the art of selling, what you need to do. So what class do you think they should take first?
Fundamentals, right? So the first one is going to be, I would say, your MLS class. So like your first MLS, how to use Matrix class. If you learn how to use Matrix, that's offered through our MLS service here. And if there's agents in other markets that are listening to this podcast, your multiple listing service for realtors has classes offered that you need to take. Those classes will show you how to compare data. It'll allow you to analyze prices and learn how to price properly, effectively. So if you do get that consultation, whether it's for a buyer, whether it's for a seller, or even if you have no business and you need to just pump out information to your sphere, whether it's market data, what's happening in the market, listings that go live, that's going to be the first class I would say right after getting your pre-license that you need to take, is learn how to use the multiple listing service to give you information about the market. Then after you take that information in that class and you know how to get the information, lead generation. learn what, and that'll help you because there's so many different strategies for lead generation. So once you take your first lead generation class, they're going to talk to you about a multitude of strategies. And Dr. Lee Davenport, she goes by Dr. Lee. She's on Instagram. She's here out of Atlanta. She is a Black real estate coach. If you haven't had her on, Kevin, get her. She's amazing. She was when I started my broker.
Wrote her name down.
I'm happy to do an intro. I love Lee. Dr. Lee is amazing. She writes for Realtor Magazine, Huffington Post, you name it. She trains. She's the broker coach for multiple brokerages across the world and across, the US, but she is here out of Atlanta. She is a member of Atlanta Realtors Association. I met her through the association. She is who I hired. I hired her as a broker coach when I was starting my brokerage. We're still friends to this day. I work closely with her on the diversity initiatives that we're doing at the Atlanta Realtors Association. And she also coaches the new agents. So new agents, experienced agents, but she's got a couple books published. She is fantastic at lead generation. So if they can sign up for one of her classes, I would recommend every new agent sign up for one of her classes. One of her classes really hones in on leading with your personality, how to generate real estate business based on your personality. And that was one of the things that she really helped me with when I was starting my brokerage. It was just like, I really want to do investments. And she was like, perfect. Like, let's just do investments. And I'm like, okay, great. Because everybody's like, oh, you got a real estate brokerage, you should be doing everything. And it's like, well, everything comes with that. When we develop new construction, some of those homes are affordable. Some of them are, $700,000, right? So it just really depends on what we're developing, but focus on what I focus on and don't try to be anything else but yourself. And that's what she coaches agents on. So I would recommend any new agent taking her class, following her on Instagram, and she gives a lot of tips on Instagram, but she is excellent. So those would be the first two.
Does she have a brokerage in another state as well?
She doesn't own her own brokerage. She's a broker at another brokerage, but she teaches. She coaches brokers and agents. She's got 2 published books out. I always get her to come teach at the association and find a way because she's so amazing. I absolutely love her, and you will love talking to her when you talk to her.
For sure. I'm actually looking her up right now on Instagram. Dr. Lee.
You see her?
I don't.
Let me get her actual handle. I think it's Learn with Lee.
Oh, Learn with Lee?
Yes. I think it's her actual handle. Yes, Learn with Dr. Lee. That's her handle. But she's right out of Atlanta here, and she's so awesome. But you should talk to her. But yes, all new agents need to go talk to her. And experienced agents. So she'll be coming in to talk to Sovereign soon again. I always bring her in as well to talk to our team at Sovereign. And yes.
I'm already following her.
See? Who isn't? If they're not following her, they'll follow her. And then also follow Property Ninja right there. Follow me on that.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, follow Property Ninja for sure. For sure. I could continue on forever. I know that it's so much more that I want to ask you. But for time's sake, I definitely want to end it. However, I do want to say thank you for your time. Anyone who is interested in getting in contact with you in terms of following you on social media, give us your social media handles.
All of them is at property_ninja right there on the screen. All of my handles are property_ninja across all platforms. And Karen Hatcher on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm in a couple rooms. I like to give out tips on there as well. And I've created some really great network friends on there as well. So if you're not on there, find me on any of those platforms. I look forward to meeting y'all. And Kevin, this was awesome. Thank you again for having me on here. Would love to do a part 2 at some point.
We will, because I probably got about 100 more questions for you. So, well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, definitely go follow Property Ninja on all social media. And thank you for listening to Real Estate Proverbs Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson. Have a great day.
Bye.
If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And I'm your host, Kevin Jefferson. Have a great day.